Hi, this is Ross Payton again for Role Playing Public Radio. This is episode 9, -10 and counting. We're doing a episode on PC death and dying. Of course, with me is Tom here.
Hey everyone, I got a torn ligament in my knee. That's why we didn't do this earlier.
Yeah, Tom, working too hard at the blueprint factory.
I deliver things.
You deliver.
And I fell in a parking lot.
Poor Tom.
I know, poor me.
Yes, I feel you.
Why don't I really think you feel my pain?
I don't know.
Somehow that just didn't seem
I took the
sincere.
callous disadvantage. Yes! Oh, yeah! 5 points. GURPS.
No, I took the take things personally disadvantage.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I made that one up. It's a quirk.
That's
only 1
point out of it.
I only got 1 point for it. So how pissed do you think I am?
Yeah, exactly. What'd you spend that 1 point on?
Another bit of skills.
Oh, yeah? What skill? You got 1 skill. That was a 1 point skill.
Swimming.
You got swimming.
But I can't swim now.
Wow, the irony is...
It's delicious, isn't it?
It is.
It's filling. Can you take any more?
Yes.
Or are you full?
I'm full.
Good. That's the way
Yeah, since our last episode, I found a couple of really fun things. I'll mention most of them in the shout-outs at the end of the episode. But there is one thing, very RPG related. I recently started reading up on play-by-post games on the internet. And there is one game in particular that I thought was just beyond words. I cannot describe it in all its glory.
But he's going to try.
Yeah, I'm going to try. The system was Fatal. Fantasy, adult, something adult lechery. It's considered like, if you go to RPG.net, it's like the game that shall not be named. I mean, there are rules, there's tables for nipple hue. Yeah.
Anal circumference.
Anal circumference. It is really, truly the one of the most atrocious RPGs ever created. And it's like an 800-page game. It's a PDF. If you know where to look on the internet, you can find it.
So the printed PDF could kill a goat.
Probably. Undoubtedly. The thing is, some people actually played a game of it on an internet forum. And they... it wasn't that serious, but it was hilarious in its own way. At one point, they're using the spell mishap charts. They had an angel casting spells over a city, but every time it cast a spell, it farted at 120 decibels.
So a jet engine fart, huh?
And then another spell mishap caused a player to reverse fart 44 times in a row. And there was one of the PCs was a 1-foot demon baby who was immune to normal weapons, immune to everything except special weapons, magic weapons. And this PC exuded an aura that caused humans within 1 foot of the demon baby to desire anal sex. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just so wrong and so funny.
So that sounds like a story that someone would write on a fan fiction website.
These were people who were basically making fun of the game by playing it. It's I'll give you a hint. It was on the Something Awful forums. Yeah, that gives you a hint. Something Awful, they're pretty much enjoy the worst of the internet. And
bring it to you.
Yes. So I'm not going to link to it because, honestly, it's...
your eyeballs might explode.
It's not mind safe. It's not just not work safe. It's not mind safe. And I would feel bad if other people were exposed to it. Since I'm so desensitized and cynical, jaded. I don't care, but...
I remember that. Hey, Ross, look, a dissected hamster.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, with that out of the way, let's talk about, the main topic for this show. PC death and dying, and this is something I've been thinking about. Because I've noticed, I've run a lot of horror games, and...
yeah, seriously, there's no joke there. He runs a lot.
I like horror. And a while ago, I got a person to create a new add-on to our site, the Call of Cthulhu / Delta Green PC Mortuary, where you can enter in your fallen Call of Cthulhu characters, who they were, how they died, and put a little epitaph, and then when I see it, I can approve it. There's like about 7 or 8 PCs up there so far, including someone who died by being frozen, flash frozen, which I wish they had described it in a little more detail. It was pretty interesting. But I've noticed the thing is, I've noticed when I run a game, I have a tendency to keep the PCs alive, at least until the end of the session. I'm very reluctant to kill someone at the beginning or at the middle of the session.
You keep us alive despite our best efforts to off ourselves.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, I'm just telling the truth, man.
I mean, I'll kill PCs. I mean, if you listen to the last game I ran, Is It the End of the World as We Know It? I killed one of the PCs off, but again, that was at the end of the session. And Jason's character, honestly, I probably should have. Well, he didn't really do anything that stupid, but he did take a lot of risks, so I probably could have killed him off.
It did kind of seem to me like he was hoping to off himself in some heroic, epic way.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. I didn't really want to kill him, In
fact, and he did that before, did he not? With another game.
I don't remember. Which game are you talking about?
I don't remember.
The Yakuza game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was him just failing so many dice rolls I had to kill him. I mean, if you fail that many dice rolls in Call of Duty...
You felt honor-bound to kill him.
Pretty much.
As a Yakuza game GM.
Pretty much. I would have to commit seppuku if I didn't kill him. It was kill or be killed. But anyways, my concern about PC death is obviously, one, I'm running a game so everyone can have fun. Me and all the other players. And if the PCs aren't... if the players don't like death, or... in the worst case scenario, they get killed halfway or at the very beginning of a session, then what are they going to do for the rest of those couple hours while everyone else, has fun playing?
Well, of course, this would depend on the game. If it's Call of Cthulhu, even a beginner experienced character can pump out a new character in 30 minutes.
True.
If, God help you, you're doing GURPS or a Palladium game.
Yeah, especially if you're like a 200 or 300 point GURPS character.
Yeah, or Palladium in any of its systems. you're going to be out a long time.
Yeah. And... also, and then, of course, the PCs take it seriously, especially if it's a character they like. I've had a player once or twice storm out because I killed his character. And I feel bad about it because he's normally a good player. It's just, you just get angry and you're just like, I can't believe that happened to me. I mean, some people are just sore losers. And it's not,
and you can't predict that either.
And honestly, I'm not the most, I'll feel bad if my PC gets killed. I'll just like, damn it. I do take it personally. I mean, not nearly as much as I used to, but I'll admit it. I'm not, an emotionally perfect person. I know that's...
You think.
Tom, you could have faked a little, like, no, you're just,
I'm sorry. On my honor, I could not have done that.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, Tom.
You bet. But actually, I kind of had the opposite problem with that.
Oh, yeah?
My early gaming experience, just about all the GMs would never kill PCs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then again, most of my early games were Palladium. And it's actually kind of, especially Rifts.
Yeah.
It's hard to lose a character, and that especially the further in the books you go.
Yeah. It depends on what type of character you make.
Like, I remember the one Rifts game that lasted the longest. I was playing a Tautan from the Africa book, which are the big crocodile guys with the scorpion tails.
I remember.
And they have an insane amount of MDC naturally, but of course you always deck them out with the heaviest armor you can get.
Right.
And they're carrying around Rune's sword over their shoulder and I don't think it was a Glitter Boy boom gun, but it was basically like the 600 kilowatt death plasma rifle thing.
Right.
And I remember we actually went after the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and only war actually ever got me through my armor, much less my natural MDC.
Wow, I would have been such an asshole to you.
You totally would have, and God bless you, Ross. But really, it wasn't until later, like 3.0, when I was playing with you again, that I've actually had players in danger of dying. And in fact, I think my first in several years was that sorcerer that was rent apart by the four-armed gorillas.
Yeah, Gorillion. Fiendish four-armed gorillas.
Yeah.
I remember that session, because I remember you specifically said after the session that was like the first PC I've had who got killed or something like that, or it was one of the first.
Well, it was also the first time I was trying a magic user, and of course I was bringing him into the front lines like a fighter.
Yeah, and you were like first or second level or something like that. So,
but it can get rare. Like, I remember Sean was playing in that one.
Yeah.
And maybe not that one, but it was one of your games, and his PC died normally by the rules.
Yeah.
And he had this huge grin on his face, because he says he hadn't lost a PC in years.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one end of the extreme. I think that PC death is good just because you don't want to have a Care Bear game and I define a Care Bear game as one in which there's not just no death, but no real challenge. By removing the PC death, you start inching towards not just no PC death, but no PC failure. I mean, they might get hurt a little bit, but there's no significant chance of them losing.
And they know that.
Yeah.
And trust me, most players will catch on when they know they're not going to die, and that's when they start doing goofy shit to keep themselves entertained.
Yeah, it's just you're not like, why am I playing this game? It's not you don't know what's going to happen next. You're not hooked on it. You know, the story becomes stale. I mean, it's just like a TV show or a movie. I mean, when you figure out what's going to happen before it happens, and you know that there's nothing that's going to excite you, I mean, what's the point of playing, or what's the point of watching or participating?
And actually, even if your GM's really imaginative and comes up with some kick-ass villains, you know it's going to be a short-lived thing because by the end of this session, they'll be dead at your feet.
Yeah, and so that's the positive side of PC death. They keep the players hooked on it by knowing that there's an uncertain outcome. You know, there's no certainty. There's this dynamic in gaming that I can't see anywhere else. I mean, but on the other hand, if you lose a player, if you keep losing players characters consistently, they're gonna stop. Well, first of all, I think players need to get a little emotionally involved with their characters. Yes.
Otherwise, you're just like, my guy, what's his name?
Yeah.
I guess I go here. You know, they're not going to role play him. They're basically my character will go here and to the tavern, and I'll roll some dice maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, trust me, that when that game starts, it's over at hello.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the other side. You know, you don't want to be the killer GM who unfairly, and basically you don't want to be any of the GMs in an AB3 rant.
God no.
You know, Death by Risk, where the piece, or just any of those other stories where the game master just unfairly punishes players. And again,
because his girlfriend left him,
or something like that. Yeah. And so there is the sort of opposite extreme.
And I think we covered this in another show. The GM with his favorite villain.
Yeah. And
I know that a lot of times, like if the GM fiat that if he doesn't want them to die and they're going to, he'll suddenly pull them out. I've experienced one game.
Well, didn't you say you did that?
I did that one time.
Yeah.
But basically, it was more I whisked him away to safety. But I have known one GM who, instead of that, suddenly has him gain, his power level becomes 9,000.
Over 9,000.
Over 9,000. Yeah. And he wastes the party.
Yeah.
That's how he keeps his great villain from dying.
So I guess the GM dilemma is how to handle PC death in the game. How do you keep it fair and fun? So, too much death is bad, too little death is bad. So I think
it's just more important that the threat can always be there.
Yeah.
Just, it's more, I think it's just more important that it's there rather than even exercised a lot.
Yeah.
It just needs to be there. And obviously, for, D&D at certain levels, once you get resurrection
right.
and stuff.
Well, even then you lose a level of experience and all that other jazz.
Right.
Of course, most people I know house rule that out. I mean, that's kind of gay.
Yeah, it truly is.
Anyways.
But GURPS characters are pretty brittle.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, true. Unless you have a lot of points to put into.
And of course, our personal fave, Call of Cthulhu characters, especially for some of the danger that they're eventually going to get into.
Yeah. Well, so again, the trick is how do you handle what do you do? How do you handle death in the game? I think obviously the policy we both sort of agree on is in general you want to let the dice roll where they may. Keep everything fair, open, and honest.
And let's be honest, sometimes the dice just rape you.
Right. I mean, again, Jason, he just kept failing. He failed like 4 or 5 times in a row when he's trying to get away from this ghost.
And impressively failing.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, I mean,
I'm sorry.
They're saying you're dead, so you're dead. The thing, though, I think there's a little caveat that not many people know, is one, you should make the stakes known before you start rolling the dice. And by this, I mean, like, if the PC is about to do something really dangerous, like, I'm going to shoot the president at the press conference, then, all right, we'll roll the dice openly, but these guys are going to try and kill you, and there's a lot of them.
And also, like, there's Secret Service all over the place.
Yeah. It's very, very risky. You have to roll very well quite a few times in order to pull it off. And as long as the player acknowledges that and is okay with that and is able to accept the results of the dice, then it's good. So I think that those are the keys there. Make sure everyone's on the same page. Everyone's on the same level. Everybody knows what's going on, and then rolling the dice openly, and then accepting the results for whatever they are.
I mean, I think life-threatening danger coming out of nowhere in a ridiculous spot. That's not good.
You're on the thunder bucket, and a toilet monster kills you. What? Screw you. You're dead.
Or it's like you follow the treasure map to the hill with the X. Like, oh great, it's a genius loci. Like, oh come on.
Yeah, it's an epic level monster. DC, challenge rating 30, you're level 2.
Right. It says it will spare you if you can solve this puzzle. Like, oh, fuck you. By the way, nice. So just a personal thing, I don't like puzzles in games.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, like, I'm here for personal glory.
Oh, man, I was going to have you guys solve some ciphers and substitution.
Ooh, Sudokus?
Yes. No. I hate Sudoku.
Okay.
So I think those are the key areas, and anytime I have an NPC about to do something nasty, the PC or the PC's cast a save or die type spell on an NPC, I say, okay, well this NPC needs to roll this in order to do this, and then I roll it out so everyone can see it, and so
well, I think those can work if you build it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you actually say like, okay, this is a make or break roll here, man. And suddenly all the players. All the stupid comments and jokes will shut up.
Oh yeah,
and they'll stop. They'll get interested in that roll.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if the player he'll start rolling that dice like his life depends on it, which it kind of does. And then the reaction to both, if he fails, it's like all around the table. But if you succeed, there's gonna be like a minute or so of just kind of high fiving and cheering. Both of those are good. Like when the whole party even shares your pain. Like, oh man!
Yeah. I mean, those are the stories that you remember over the years. I mean, like you in the tea shop in London. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody was hanging on your dice rolls.
And it was like The Price is Right. The audience was shouting out suggestions.
Yeah.
Which Ross tried to stop, but you might as well try to stop the tide from coming in.
Yeah, that PC hive mind. So of course, that should be the overall policy whenever you're at a high stakes, whenever the PCs are close to death or, about to do something, jump off the cliff, basically. You need to, just put everything up front so the PCs know what's going on and if all possible, give them a way out. If they're like, whoa, I didn't know I was going to jump off the cliff, blah, 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 let them back out.
I failed my spot check. I didn't see the cliff there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can jump out of the car, but the car is gone, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Or you can stay in the car and try and make this really high drive roll to keep the car. But you'll be risking your life because you'll be in the car if it goes over the cliff if you fail to check. See, that would be the thing. Set the stakes.
That's good gaming.
Yeah. So...
Not just, you went off the edge. Well, you're dead.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I would have jumped out. I wasn't going to do that. Well, you made the check, you're blah, blah, blah. That's where the arguments... I mean, if everybody knew everything beforehand, there wouldn't be any arguments. You have to disclose this stuff.
Need to know information.
Yeah, disclosure.
Full disclosure.
Now, of course, then whenever sooner or later, though, PC will die.
Oh, yes.
They failed the drive check. They jumped off the cliff. So what happens if it's near the end of a session? The PC can just sort of hang out and be like, all right, whatever.
Or just like, dudes, I died.
Yeah, and talk or whatever. But so the question is, what do you do when the PC dies and there's still... you don't want the player hanging around doing nothing for an hour or 2 hours.
Well, once again, this is first it depends on the game itself. Once again, if you're playing Call of Cthulhu or something, you can a beginning player can just belt out a new character in a few minutes.
Well, on the other hand, though, it's still kind of a problem because in Call of Cthulhu, you're in the middle of the Australian desert. Your guy dies. It's like, well. There's this gun smuggler who shows up. It's like, well, that's kind of fucking convenient, isn't it?
Well, Ross, come on. Are we actually going to say we don't just do convenient little things in games?
Yeah, I liked how in the last week's game, you guys immediately trusted the group of heavily armed lunatics ranting about demons and
in my
gods.
Defense, I had just seen a giant hole open.
No, you didn't see it.
My police chief did.
and just because they saw...
my National Guard commander saw it.
Yeah, he saw it. That doesn't mean that they weren't the ones behind it. You were just... There's a really funny movie called The Gamers.
Yeah.
Where it's a 45-minute thing. Dead Gentleman did it. And in one scene, the wizard dies. Later on, they find
another wizard,
and in the middle of the forest.
And the GM says, "Okay, I want you guys to roleplay this. You've never seen this guy before." And the lines go, like, "I noticed your team doesn't have a magic user."
Yes. You look trustworthy. Do you care to join us?
Indeed.
And then he walks to the back of the line of the party, and that's it. It's like, that's one habit of players I wish I could break, but that's it's kind of like it's a cliche, it's a convention of the game. It's just you kind of have to accept it. It's like how in movies the actors' hairs always look great, even if they've been through hell and everything else like that.
Movie Die Hard, his hair didn't look good.
Well, it still looked heroic. It was heroically.
Okay.
Yeah, and the smudges and everything else. It looked, he still looked very macho and just badass.
And of course, the glass in the foot, the bleeding foot.
Yeah, and wrapping a little piece of cloth around your wound, gunshot wound. That fixes it.
He only ever got winged. The only time he got shot was he got winged by his own pistol.
Well,
in the arm. And he never dressed that wound. Well, my God, have you watched Die Hard or what?
I'm talking about in general. I wasn't specifically referring to Die Hard.
Well, don't you tread upon sacred ground for me.
Oh, poor Tom.
I know.
He likes his
I love Die Hard. I do.
All right. Well, there are some other options.
One, of course, that I've had a game to do is if you're going to go into a meat grinder, have a couple of characters already made.
Right, and of course the thing is clear it beforehand and figure out some way that they could logically join up with the group in a way that's fairly integrated. I mean, like if you're running the military campaign, that's very simple. It's like, hey, Private Blob just showed up.
It's like, hey, we saved Private Ryan. Private Ryan, come over.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
But once again, if you're it's Call of Cthulhu, you're in the middle of the outback somewhere, and unless you're doing like some Aboriginal hunter with an English accent,
tribal fisherman, exactly.
Who comes out. He's like, you boys, you boys look like you need some help. I know that accent was totally. I didn't even do one.
No, you did.
I'm sorry.
So that's one option. Have it. Prepared beforehand. Of course, you're not always going to know, and sometimes it's kind of unfeasible, especially if it's like GURPS. You don't want to spend like 9 hours making 3 or 4 characters.
Yeah,
I mean that's
unless you get off on that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. Some people do. Like you. Yeah. Rolling up D20 characters when I'm running
mutants and mastermind characters.
Yeah.
And yes, I have notebooks full of them.
Yeah, I'm watching you, buddy.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, just rolling up characters.
Well, the great thing about mutants and masterminds, you don't need to roll up anything.
It's a figure of speech, Tom.
Shut up, Ross.
God! Alright. That was my Napoleon Dynamite impression. I am now officially lame.
Brought a tear to my eye.
Anyways, okay, but what else? If the player's cool with it, he can, or if you're cool with it, set up an NPC, a torchbearer type, and have the player run the NPC. Go. Like when I was in the, you and I were in the Zeppelin World War I Call of Cthulhu, my character fell off the blimp.
Yeah,
or Zeppelin,
and the GM had like a character sheet for every crew member on board.
So I just took up another. I didn't really do much after the game. I just made a couple skill checks. But I was still there, and I was still participating.
Yeah.
That was good. So
just a little work on your part, and you can keep the game moving right along.
Yeah, so try and make sure that there's some viable NPCs hanging around. In fact, the players, you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone and have the PCs stat up the NPCs and then take them over when appropriate.
Make sure you trust your PCs to do that, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, this takes work beforehand if you're running a casual game or whatever.
Yeah, and you actually end up with a situation like, okay, so I noticed your private investigator here has bazooka at 80%.
Yes.
And he has one.
Yes, and he was never in the military. Yes. He's a hobbyist. A hobbyist bazookaist.
I see. Yeah.
That's legal in Canada.
Or,
you don't know Canada.
Or something that's actually happened to me is, okay, your lawyer can pilot a Harrier jump jet.
It was specifically a Harrier jump jet, not just like piloting.
Well, this was a game that was run around the time that True Lies was out. And I had a guy that watched that movie. And
players are so impressionable.
And I believe this was a Heroes Unlimited back when I actually did Palladium, and he was playing someone that had some minor powers. No, he was a super sleuth, like a detective.
Yeah.
But he took down, and the one he took pilot Harrier jump jet, which wasn't even a skill.
Yeah.
And he says, "Now I'm going to get one of these, right?" He says, "Like, because I found the book, and actually it has the stats for a Harrier jump jet here." And I'm like,
did he play some sort of high tech hero with access to millions of dollars of funding or government backing or anything like that?
No, he was playing the Sam Spade, down on his luck, investigative detective with a drinking problem who had a rundown office down in the worst part of town.
You said this is Heroes Unlimited. I mean, he didn't have superpowers, or
he was a super sleuth.
Oh, okay.
Mostly he had skills, but they get the super hacking ability.
Oh, okay. He was that guy.
But he didn't have a computer. He actually had a
he took a hack.
Yeah, but the only computer he had in his office was one of those monocolored Radio Shack word processors.
GSR 80s type thing.
Kind of, yeah.
God.
And that he never used.
Why? Why would he take super hacking if he wasn't going to use it?
Well, it comes with the character, but you see, he's going to play. I would have been open to him doing a different skill. Like, okay, well, if you were playing kind of a Luddite, who doesn't want to use high tech stuff, like, no, I'll keep it. It's part of the character.
Is that your impression of this particular?
Yeah,
play?
he had the energy level of an animal that could run on a wheel.
Okay, so kind of a meth head tweaker type.
Yeah, kind of like Quentin Tarantino.
I see.
But he never got to use that skill.
Poor guy. Yeah, gamers in general are very impressionable. I've noticed most modern RPGs, their gun list is based on guns that are in movies.
Oh yeah.
There's always this, or now more recently, Counter-Strike. So the what's that Special Forces 45 automatic? That's in SOCOM pistol. Mm-hmm. That's in all the modern RPGs now, and then of course the M16.
Yeah, they were back in the 80s and early 90s. The handheld minigun was all the rage.
Yes,
thanks to T2 and Predator.
Yes. So, anyways, what were we talking about? How did we even get to that tangent? Well, what else can a player do aside from jumping over, having a backup PC or having an NPC ready to jump in? I mean, have you been in a situation where, neither of those options were viable? I mean, what did the players do?
Well, it really depends.
Either as a player or as a GM.
Well, it depends on the cohesiveness of the group.
Okay.
I had a game where I think Sean was running it.
All right.
And there were four. No, there was 4 players.
Yeah.
And one of them was off because this was a D&D thing that Sean was running where there was we lived in this tiny village surrounded by dangerous jungle.
Yeah.
Where green dragons lived all over because it was really poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them appeared, and a character playing a second-level fighter went after a juvenile green dragon.
That would not end well.
It did not. And I think this was the first character he ever lost.
Yeah.
Because he had a look on his face of, well, he couldn't. It's like he was trying to speak but couldn't.
Yeah.
And finally, he's like, well, I'm dead? And Sean's like, that's generally what negative 22 hit points means.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
so what happened?
We had to stop the game for a while because this guy like, bullshit, man! And I guess in some situations, sometimes you do just kind of have to stop the game,
right?
Explain to the guy, like, look, man, you went after something with a CR way over your level.
Right.
And the whole rest of your party was running, and they were telling you, come on! So, I mean, granted, he was a very beginner player.
I see.
So finally, after about an hour,
yeah,
he's finally, all right, can I just make another character? He's like, yeah, well, this is the first one you've ever made, so it took him another hour or so to make the character, but we trucked on without him.
Right.
And Sean was pretty good at working out a way to get the new character back in.
Okay.
And really, I think a situation like that, the sudden new character shows up that no one knows. If the GM's pretty kind of savvy, can actually arrange it into a way where it's not the you look trustworthy, join us kind of thing.
Yeah, that's so stopping the game and just taking a break, which might be good, especially if the PC death was like a part of a climactic battle.
Or a newbie character that just doesn't know what he can take.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you have to take him sort of.
Yeah. This was a guy that had played nothing but Final Fantasy. That was his role playing.
You think he'd be used to dying in those games?
But then he just starts right back over to save point.
Yeah, that's true. There's no save points.
Unless you house rule it.
Yeah, and then you're a pussy.
That's right.
Yes, because we're hardcore here. Iron Man. That's what we do. We tear up. We burn the character sheets as soon as they're dead.
We strike their name from all records.
We nail them to the tree of woe. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually have one of those?
Yeah, but it fell over because of the ice storm.
Fucking nice.
Yeah. Woe is the tree.
Totally woe.
Oh,
all right. Yeah.
Anyways,
total professionalism here.
So you can stop the game and have a break. Now, of course, again, the sort of the problem is, the dead player, even, no matter what, as soon as they're dead, it really sucks for them if they miss out on a really cool scene, like a big battle or a fight scene or environmental, some sort of challenge. The really cool is like, oh, you got killed by the punk-ass guard right before the end boss fight,
And sometimes... Really, sometimes there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to say, look, I'm sorry, man, you're dead.
Yeah. But
I think the best thing to do for that is to plan another really cool fight.
Yeah.
And make sure they're a part of it.
Yeah. Well, there is one, that's one thing, is always adjust your plans for your players. Like, you talked about, saving villains because of PCs, pulling stuff out of your ass. Because the PCs do something unexpected. You should let the PCs do the unexpected thing, and then change it.
Well, that's not so much a problem now because a lot of the villains I have, the PCs love. And they would never dream of eliminating them.
We love you, Darth Vader. We love you so much.
No, I'm afraid they'd go after him with a vengeance.
Well, whatever your villain's name is.
It's not Darth Vader, Ross. Have a little more imagination than that. Though there was a period in the
Darth Vader.
There was a period.
Yeah, Darth Vader.
Well, I think you remember this. There was a period in the early '90s, right about the time Face Off came out, that all of my characters and villains were Castor Troy.
Yes, I remember that all too well. Like I said, gamers are impressionable. We have no originality. We just steal from everything else.
But if we're good, we'll twist it into our own ends.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this is very common. I mean, look at Warhammer. Warhammer basically steals from all fantasy and all science fiction. Michael Moorcock and Tolkien. And then StarCraft and Warcraft, they're stolen from Warhammer. And so on and so forth. Yeah. And the Korean MMORPGs steal from Warcraft and StarCraft.
Boy, do they steal it.
Yeah, everyone steals from everyone else. There's no originality anymore.
And that's cool.
Yes.
Actually, I would take it as if one of the ideas I did for a game, I found out someone was doing a cheap ripoff of it.
Yeah,
that would warm my insides. It really would.
It wouldn't warm your wallet though.
It would warm the cockles of my heart, not my wallet.
All right. So I think that overall are sort of the strategies you need to approach. Let PCs die when they need to, or when they do. I mean, where the dice roll, whether they may, but don't be unnecessarily hard. Let the players know what the risks are. Let the players decide what risks they'll take and what rewards they'll. And then you just tell them what rewards they'll get for what risks, and then let the dice roll.
And often the reward enough is just the story of that time when they died in that really ridiculous and cool way.
Yeah, exactly. And don't make it unfairly hard, unfair and hard, and don't make it a Care Bear game. But try and have a backup. Be ready for death because death will strike. Because sooner or later that PC will be at -10 and counting. Anyways,
way to tie into the title of this episode, Ross.
Awesome.
That was brilliant.
Thank you. Yes, and we're so modest here at RPPR. We're very humble.
Role playing public radio at Sling Design.
I'm so fucking humble. I am more humble than you, man.
Don't you wave your humble finger at me, you son of a bitch.
All right. Anyways, we'll be back in a couple moments with Tom and his letter from him.
Yes.
Yes. And then anecdotes, shout out. And we're back. That was just a great rant there, Tom.
Did you notice the gay joke?
Yes. Thanks.
That was not for you.
No, it wasn't.
It was done at your expense, though.
Yes. I'm not going to thank you for that.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Anyways, we have a couple of few comments from viewers. First, Ryan McCacklin, I believe, wants us to mention his own little gaming group, the Free Nights, and we'll put a link up to their message board. So, hi there, Ryan. Thanks for listening.
Hey, sup?
Yeah.
Fellow gamer!
Yes. I'm sure that's the highlight of his life right now.
I'm trying, Ross. Damn it.
All right. Then we have another guy, Justice, is what he logged in as, and he's a local gamer, Springfield gamer. He also
Springfield?
Yes, Missouri. He found us from the Dragon's Landing podcast, which is also a gaming podcast in Springfield, Missouri, with about, that's been around longer. They have 90 episodes, or 89 episodes, so at the time of this recording. Yeah, they've been around.
Props to the seniority, man.
Yes, they've actually, worked and stuff, as opposed to us slackers. And he had a question for us. He wanted to know what we thought of gaming and game shops. Now, we have Springfield as a college town, so we have actually quite a large number of geeky stores, comic book stores, and, of course, Metagames, which has comic books, board games, role-playing games,
tabletop games, Warhammer, you name it, they got it.
And video games. And we've played Metagames back when it was at its old location on Glenstone. Now it's out on East Sunshine.
By 65.
Yeah, US 65. And, honestly, tell me, well, what did you said something about it.
Yeah, I would say that the thing I remember most about playing at those games is the good thing is the best thing and the worst thing. The best thing about playing at games like that is you can attract new gamers you didn't even know existed. The bad thing is you can attract new gamers that you kind of wish you didn't know that existed. I mean, one of my best friends, Andy, just popped by us when we were playing a game at Metagames.
Yeah.
And I think we've also attracted a couple of players that turned it out to be, total dicks.
Yeah, for me, the thing is, that is a plus, meeting new people, players and whatnot. The downside for me isn't actually that; it's the atmosphere, the environment, and you can have a game. Metagames has a very clean, very large setup, bright lights, no gamer funk, or very minimal.
They have pretty good rules about that.
Yeah, the very it's the people who aren't playing but are sort of walking by, like the Pokemon card players, the Magic card players, the the 13-year-old punk asses, and
do you remember this guy? It's not an Eldar brain. Yeah. Or no, it's not a Necron brain.
Yeah, we were playing Warhammer 40K once upon
Midnight Dreary.
Yeah, and this guy Craig, 50 years old, grognard, which means an old rumbling wargamer guy.
I've been around.
Yeah,
he's like the gamer Dick Cheney.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who is always right, and his opinion is the only valid opinion. And you're just a moron if you have other opinions other than him. And he will gladly expound on his opinions for far too long. And we were playing. So it will bring up some minor bit of 40K lore.
Almost as a joke.
Yeah, as like some characters holding a brain or had some cybernetic brain implanted like an orc or something. And he was like, it's not a Necron brain! And it was just, ugh. And then, and the problem with that isn't just dealing with the people who occasionally harass you or whatever, which that's like nothing. I mean, who cares? But you can't really do a really conducive atmosphere to gaming, I think, in a game shop, at least, especially when it's busy. You have players have all these distractions around them. You have people walking by. You can't really play any good music.
Or any music at all most of the time.
Yeah, and it's just a pain in the butt. And you definitely can't do a scary game. You could do a light, casual, funny dungeon crawl. I mean, because that's sort of a beer and pretzels games. And that I could see, but you can't really do a campaign or anything else like that. I mean, unless you had the store to yourself. You're playing, when everyone else was gone or was very quiet or something like that. Then I could, that would work. We played a lot of games in the back room of Geekers, which was sort of an off-limits area to customers.
Yeah, and that was fun. We were good friends with the owner, and he let us do that, and that was a perfect environment.
Yeah, that was fun, up until they crowded it with all this other crap. But we had a lot of good sessions in there. The D&D game that I ran, and the other ones.
The pirate D&D that, though it didn't last, was still fun.
Yeah. So, it's a mixed bag. It really. I wouldn't. I honestly, I prefer my apartment because I can play music here. No one's going to care. I have soft drinks here for free. Blah blah.
We played here so much, we're used to the environment.
Yeah, and it's just a nice.
And it doesn't smell like cat shit and cat piss.
Yeah. And I don't like getting having to deal with those stupid CCG players.
Especially the young Pokemon players.
Yeah, or Magic players, the little snot-nosed brats who know everything and blah, 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 and think, oh my god, D&D is stupid, That's just dumb. So, it depends. If sometimes it can be really great because you meet new players, but other times, not so much. So,
I hope that answered it.
Yeah, we really ranted or rambled on about it.
No, it doesn't take much for us to rant.
Yes, or ramble. My day. So anyway, so what do you want to do next? You want to do the shout-outs, or do you want to do the anecdotes?
Shout-outs traditionally come before the anecdotes.
All right, well, then we'll do the anecdote, or the shout-outs, sorry. My shout-outs are for... I got a couple. There are two little videos I found on Half-Life, or on YouTube, that were shot in Half-Life 2. It's a process called Makima. Probably mispronouncing it, but it's basically doing computer animation inside a video game, a computer game. And the first one is called Half-Life Full Life Consequences. Basically, this guy took the worst, most horribly written piece of Half-Life 2 fan fiction about Gordon Freeman's brother, John Freeman.
I watched this, yes. Oh
and,
my
god. Recorded it and turned it into a little cartoon, a little computer animated cartoon, and it was John Freeman, Gordon Freeman's brother, was at lab at work when he got email from Gordon saying, help, there are aliens here. So he went on his motorcycle and did a backflip, and then saw a head crab officer. He's like, I can't give you my a license, officer.
You have lied. You have a head crab.
Because you are a head crab zombie. And then he fired on him. And then he went faster, like the speed of sound. And it's just 5 minutes of insanity, and I just cried myself laughing. It's so wonderfully absurd. Yeah. And then
you also put a link up. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't watch it.
Yeah, it's only like 5 minutes. I mean, come on.
5 minutes of your life on YouTube to cry yourself with laughter.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. Anyways, then of course we have another one done by the same guy called the Idiots of Gary's mod. Gary's mod is a user mod for Half-Life 2 where you can play around with all the figures and animation elements of Half-Life 2 so you can animate them yourself. And some basically people did very retarded things with the, distorted their faces. And it's just made a 300 parody, and it's just very, very dumb and very, very funny. And that's a little longer. Let's see here. Then, of course, video game I've been playing. I'm just on the game tangent today.
Almost like this show was game-related.
Yeah. Called Armageddon Empire. It's a war game, a strategy game that's sort of like a PC board game. I mean, it's set up like a board game because you have a deck of cards, you have you roll dice, you have tiles, that sort of thing. But it's a post-apocalyptic war game where you're trying to take over, destroy the enemy headquarters, and protect your own. And it's only $30. I've already bought it. It's ridiculously fun. It's a little rough, but there's an expansion coming out next month, and it's just play it. I mean, it's one of those games you start playing, then 3 hours later you're like, what? And the system specs are so low that you can play it on like a 5-year-old computer in window mode, and still browse the internet or actually do work in between turns. It's turn-based, by the way. And then finally, Pantheon, the RPG. It's a game we've played a couple times. We'll record a session of it. It's sort of a narrative cage match. You choose a story template, then every player takes a turn saying one sentence of the story, and then other players can challenge it or reverse what you say. They have certain resources.
And rewrite it or
yeah, and basically you try and win the story by fitting the genre of the story the most.
And if your group's any good, it will descend into utter madness.
Well, we're very bad. We we turned it into an absurd, surreal parody of whatever genre we're supposed to do. But it's still fun, and it's only like $5 new. And it's like I got it for $3 used. I'll put up a link. It's sort of an obscure thing by Robin Laws, big shot game designer. Which Feng Shui, author of Feng Shui. So those are mine. Little shout outs. How about you, Tom?
I got a couple. First, my gaming one. I would like to do one to Iron Claw, like anthropomorphic role playing. I know, but it's an interesting game. It's not my favorite, but it's entertaining and certainly along the lines of stuff I would like. But what totally amazed me is I ran this for my my other group.
Yeah,
and most of them, they're hardcore action movie kind of games.
Yeah.
They want guns and car chases, and I normally provide them. But then they said they want to do something fantasy, because obviously, Lord of the Rings and all that crap, 300 especially. And so I said, well, the only one I have is D&D, which they are like anti-D&D, like burn it to the ground if they ever hear anyone mention it. So I said I had this one, and they did it, and they loved it. Playing, especially my friend Andy, playing a anthropomorphic rabbit kind of ranger who also had some magical ability.
Right.
To him, it was like the most fun he said he's ever had in a game in a long time.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And suddenly, in their eyes, I became like the best GM in the world, which is absurd, but...
Yeah.
But
everyone knows it's me.
Oh, yeah, obviously. But... But to give me that feeling for one night, I owe that game big. So
I can't tolerate that. We have to burn that book now.
Fuck you. And of course, that's my gaming shout out to Ironclaw. Thank you.
Right.
I have another one I like to do to celebrity this time. Henry Rollins.
Okay.
Ross knows I love him. I love his music is okay, but his spoken word.
You have a man crush on him.
Shut up. But his spoken word.
It's acceptable if you put the word man in front of it. It makes it acceptable.
Whatever.
Man hug.
Yeah, I know.
Man, yeah.
Whatever. But no, I love his spoken word shows, and he's actually coming to Springfield for like the second time in his entire career.
Okay.
And I've actually managed to score tickets to it, and I'm going downtown to Remington's to watch him on March the 10th.
Wow.
And
is he doing a spoken word, or is he actually
It's a spoken word show.
Okay.
And honestly, I never thought I'd ever get to see him live unless I would drive to St. Louis or something.
Right.
The fact, and what's even better is it's a couple of blocks away where I go to work if I actually ever go back to work with my knee.
With your knee, yeah.
It's a place I could just go to the Mud House, have some coffee, and then walk over to. More staggered right now. Right. So, thank you, Henry Rollins, for actually coming to our little podunk town in southwest Missouri.
Yay. Yeah.
Okay, podunk, overgrown small town.
Yeah, I mean, we do have, 200,000 people?
I think it's 158,000 in the main Springfield area. I think it's over 200,000 with the greater Springfield area.
Yeah. Big. Ooh. Anyways. And of course, finally, we have the gaming anecdote. This is again from a longtime reader or listener, Ethan Daw.
Ethan Daw.
Yep.
It's singular Daw, right?
Yeah.
Ethan, I've show respect. I've still yet to totally memorize your name.
Yep.
So that's how much I care, man.
All right. Anyways, back around 1987 or 88, our group was deep into the GURPS era. One of the guys decided to start a fantasy campaign. We made our characters and then started in on solving a kidnapping. I don't recall how we got picked to find out what happened to the missing princess, but I do recall that we spent a lot of time, several hours of real time, trying to get a clue about what direction to go. We examined her rooms in the palace, talked to NPCs, etc. That's all cool, but it was starting to drag. We ended up getting into a fight with some tough NPC in the streets of the capital. I think he ambushed the party. After hours of talking, I was ready for some action. My character was essentially a fighter with some minor spells chucked in. I was up several floors in a building. Other two party members were on the street below when the attack happened. Not wanting to spend the next 4 or so rounds running down the stairs to join the fight, I took out my bow and proceeded to try and shoot the guy. For 4 rounds, I shot at him, missing every time. My bow skill was 15, so this should have been fairly easy. The level of frustration after spending several hours trying to track down clues, and it was too much for me, and my character who had the bad-tempered disadvantage. I said that my character screamed and threw his bow at quiver at the guy, missing, and finally leaped from the window to land on top of him. I actually hit him, and I think killed him while seriously injuring myself as well. After recovering in another hour or so of trying to puzzle out the clues, we just couldn't figure out what steps to take next. The GM kept insisting we had enough information to figure out which way to go. Needless to say, we never did. The campaign lasted 2 sessions. When your players tell you that they can't figure it out, and they're all pretty damn smart, you should really listen. Or you should get players who aren't so, arrogant about their abilities. I also wanted to add a short one that came to mind after hearing of Tom's Call of Cthulhu PC beating to death the cultist guy and being covered in his blood by the store patron. Below is probably
Thank you. I am immortalized.
Below is probably my biggest boneheaded move in a game. I was playing a GURPS Supers game, and my character were all part of some secret law enforcement agency. My character was a hand-to-hand combat machine with switchable body of metal, claws, and rapid healing, but he also had lots of spy-type skills that fit his former job with MI6, like electronics, language, firearm, disguise, forgery, lockpicking, you name it. Well-rounded character. It seemed, in fact, a lot of these GURPS games were most fun during character creation rather than actual play. But anyways, at one point, we were attempting to break into this house to get the bad guy. We had sneaked into the property and bypassed many security systems, dogs, spotlights, motion sensors, etc. Took quite some time and a lot of rolls to make it. Not only I had to get through a locked plate glass sliding door to gain an entry, I failed my lockpicking skill several times, and I think jammed the lock with a broken pick or something. We didn't have any glass cutters with us, so I brilliantly decided to shoot out the lock. After all, my pistol had a silencer. Of course, you can't silence the sound of the bullet striking the door frame, and the resulting shock shattered the glass and the setting of set off the burglar alarm. So, didn't quite think that through, did you, Ethan? So, way to go. I'd like to hear what happened. I assume all of you died. I'll just assume all of you died horribly grisly deaths, and the PC and
from his trained pet Velociraptor.
Yes, and you all just died horribly and embarrassingly, and were all mocked by the other superhero community, and so on and so forth. But anyways, that it's nice to know you've had an effect on the other players. You're not the only one who, did something really dumb.
Ethan, thank you. I needed to hear this.
All right. Well, again, the music for this episode has been Saber Pulse, an 8-bit chip tune, chip punk. I don't know what electronic genre they call it nowadays. Music. You can get him on MySpace or the 8-Bit Collective, which is where I got this from. Anyways, this has been episode 9, Death and Dying, or -10 counting, Death and Dying.
All right. I'm Tom, and I'll see you again, hopefully after I've had surgery on my knee.
All right. Well, we'll be rolling those dice for you, Tom.
Oh, yeah. Doctor better, too.
All right. See you next time.
See ya.